So Stanford has got its new football coach, which means there are no more vacancies in the Pac-12. The three coaches who were dismissed or stepped down from their roles this year, Carl Durrell, David Shaw, Herm Edwards, they have all had those vacancies filled by Deion Sanders, Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State, and now Troy Taylor takes the reins at Stanford. He has been the head coach at Sacramento State, which is an FCS program. They play in the Big Sky Conference, which is a really, really good FCS football conference. And for him to have won as much as he did at Sacramento State, he went 30-8 in his 4 seasons there. 30-8. Yeah, quite good. 3-time Big Sky Coach of the Year, going up against some stiff competition in that sense. Montana State was just in the FCS National Championship. Montana's really good. Eastern Washington's a storied program. There are a lot of really good teams at the FCS level in that league. And he had a 30-8 record there. It's the only time he's been a Division I head coach. He's a 3-time Big Sky Coach of the Year. He was a high school head coach for a long time, 73-18 record there. So the guy has won a lot. He was Utah's offensive coordinator in 2017 and 2018, and he parlayed that into the Sac State job, and now he will travel a few hours down the road to Palo Alto to be the head football coach for Stanford. He was also at Eastern Washington in 2016, coached Cooper Kupp while he was there. So I think there's one specific reason as to why Stanford made this hire. It's the hire I would have gone with, given the list of candidates they were considering. You know, Chris Peterson was appealing in one sense, but I always had my eye on him, and this is why. Because I thought Stanford might go in this direction. Because the last truly great head coach that Stanford hired was Jim Harbaugh. David Shaw has been a phenomenal football coach, but he was Jim Harbaugh's OC, so he brought him, or he was on the staff, I believe. He brought him with him. Like there were a lot of guys. I think Shaw was on staff. Someone can correct me in the YouTube comments if I'm wrong here, but Shaw was on staff, and then Roman and Harbaugh went to the NFL together. Greg Roman was the OC. Vic Fangio was the DC, by the way, on that staff, but handed the reins off to David Shaw, and he did a fantastic job for a while. He has now stepped aside. But Jim Harbaugh was a quarterback when he played and is now a coach that, you know, is mostly on the offensive side of the ball. And, Troy Taylor's got that too. He was the quarterback coach at Eastern Washington in 2016. Interesting. Troy Taylor also won a lot of games at an FCS program that does not have a rich history of winning. Sacramento State, go look at their football seasons. There's a lot of down years in there. And when he took it over, they were no bueno. And now, they were 12-0 before they lost in the FCS quarterfinals. They made a heck of a run, and they've been really good the last few years. And Jim Harbaugh went to San Diego, which also does not have a rich football winning history. But he went there, and he won a lot of games. And then he got hired at Stanford. Also, what do Sacramento and San Diego have in common? Oh, yes, they're in the state of California. I think Stanford looked at this hire and said, is that the next Jim Harbaugh right there? Quarterback background, offensive side of the ball in terms of, you know, where most of his coaching background comes from. And he's coaching right here in the state of California, winning at an FCS program that doesn't have a long tradition of winning. Yeah, I think this hire makes a lot of sense if you're Stanford. Will it work out? We'll see. I don't think there's, you know, my instinct is that this is a good hire, because when I see someone go into a program at any level for college football that doesn't win, and not just start winning, but start winning at a really high level, I tend to think he's going to be able to do that when he makes a jump and has more resources available. The challenging part is he's coming to a Stanford program that certainly has got plenty of money available to it, has got a good recruiting base, some of which he should be familiar with, having been coaching in the state of California for the last 4 seasons. But the transfer portal is such a big part of college football, and this is going to be a recurring theme with regards to the Cardinal. Are they just going to fall behind because they can't admit anybody they want to fill a need on their roster because they are so committed and it's such an integral part of their identity as a school to adding guys that are men of Stanford, are of Stanford character, and are of Stanford academic standards? I think that lends itself towards giving him more than just a season. This is not a Lincoln Riley turnaround. This is not, Kalen DeBoer turning around Washington really quick. This is going to take longer because that roster needs a lot of help, and he has to be given time. But the schematic prowess he showed at Sac State, they ran a 2-quarterback system. Don't know if you can do that at the Power 5 level. Interested to see how that plays itself out, but that was also a little bit out of need, I suppose. I'm curious to see what sort of offensive system he will be running there. But I think it's a solid hire. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think he fits Stanford, right? He's not a, super young guy. He's not like Deion Sanders to Stanford. Like that never would have happened, right? It just doesn't feel, not that Coach Prime is a bad guy. I don't know him. Seems like he's a really good guy. But does he feel like Stanford? Not really. Troy Taylor seems like he's going to show up, go to work, and coach. And that's what Stanford wants. They want a guy who is a good face. They want a guy who understands what their vision is as a university, who can also win football games, which is going to be a tough thing to do as a head coach of the Cardinal. But I like this hire because another finalist was Jason Garrett. No, not good. This is a better hire than Jason Garrett. Not saying much, but it could have been a lot worse. Overall, looks like a BB plus hire. Maybe it'll be even better than that. Who knows? A lot of teams feeling excited right now in the Pac-12 because of their new coaches, whether they're 1 year in, 0 years in. Exciting time to be a Pac-12 football fan. Appreciate everyone listening. See you next time. Have a wonderful rest of your day.